Okay, well, Chris, just starting with sort of squad news and bits and pieces with the injury with Ross McCrory. Any update on the seriousness of that?
Not at the moment, no. I think obviously he's done his other hamstring, which I spoke about on Saturday. We're hoping it's more mid-term than long-term at the minute, so I think that'll come apparent again in the next couple of days. But the signs early on it's more mid-term than long term, which is good news for him and for us really. Obviously we spoke about he's been through the mill a little bit in terms of the last season he's had, so some small positives in there really.
Which is good for him because he has had a horrible time of it for the club. It does leave you short term in a bit of a predicament with, you know, that left-sided defensive area is somewhat shorter than you'd like it to be.
Yeah, for sure, but also I spoke about it on Saturday. Really, we have to be adaptable. We've got players who can fill various roles in multiple positions. So, good news is Hayden Roberts is back training, Rob Dickey's back training. So we've got a couple who are back training and managing to merge them back into the group, which is a real positive for us.
So, are we looking sort of end of the month for those two, another couple of weeks, or is it? You know, neither of them are long-term injuries, I suppose. So they haven't lost all their conditioning.
It'll be a case of training, see how they look, merging them back in the group, making sure that obviously they've done enough really to try and be back part of squad and stuff. But they both look really in good condition, and obviously the medical staff and the sports science staff have done a good job with them thus far. And like I said, it's been great to have them back with us. One on a personal level in terms of what they bring as characters, but two then obviously their qualities in terms of the football. So time will tell on them too. Again, it'll just be assessing as we move along.
Looking at the unbeaten run that you're on, which, you know, it's growing and hopefully will continue for quite a while yet, the defensive improvement has been a big sort of key to that. You kept a number of clean sheets recently. Is there, I know you've worked on it, is there one thing or a couple of things that you've done better that has led to the outcomes of that and making it harder to score against?
I think it's a collective again. I think the messaging hasn't changed. We don't go into the season and say, lads, go on. The message is the same. I think it's just the actions really, and having a consistent level to our actions, which I think if you look at all-round performances, we're starting to get to a level of consistency in terms of knowing what to expect, whether that's with the ball or without the ball. So the challenge for us all really going into the weekend again is first and foremost, can we give a performance that is a real good level and our level in and out of possession, and then can we really take on our performance so we can be more attacking and try and score the goals that the game will demand.
Because it is always a balance, you know, trying to get that attacking threat without leaving the back too open, and is that an alchemy? Is there a definite way of trying to get that right? Because it's something that every team strives for, and not that many teams get spot on.
Yeah, I think if you look throughout the season, performances in the top level from teams, you'll go through patches where it'll all come together. There'll be games where you have to be hard to beat and you won't have much of the ball. There'll be games where you're dominant with the ball. Unless you're Man City, generally you have these fluctuations in the season depending on who you're up against. So I think for us the pleasing thing has been we've been generally consistent with that in terms of we've had to play various ways. I spoke about it the last 10 days, we've had 3 different types of performances. We've had Middlesbrough where we score goals winning the ball high up and then defending a real professional performance in the second half to see the game out. The Tuesday game against Stoke, we go 2-0 down, show the resilience to come back, and some of our attacking play was really good without obviously getting our rewards for it, but obviously getting a draw out of that game. And then you look again at Leeds. Saturday I talked pre-game, we wanted to try and take the game to Leeds, and I think you showed signs of that first half, and then a few things happen in the game. Leeds then gain control, but again we showed our resilience in terms of being hard to beat and that. So if you look over even the course of a week, you have to play multiple ways at times to get results in games. And I think the pleasing thing for us is we've shown this point in the season throughout these 10-12 games we've had, we can do each of everything. It's just us blending it together and going, who do we want to be, what do we want to do in every game.
And you mentioned the unbeaten run, in a few draws in there, I'm sure a few more than you would like. Is it now about trying to harness that, and because you're in a good moment in the season and trying to make that next push that will get you from a good position in the table to a great one?
I think go back to basics, behaviours, and then obviously consistency gets you where you want to get, and it's a long season. So I think it's really, for us as a football club, really, we have to harness the togetherness that we've had in the last 2 weeks. We have to really stick together and know that it's a journey and it's a thing of, I spoke about on Saturday, we're not going to go from 0 to 100 in terms of the project and the group and the squad that we want to try and build. It is going to be more transfer windows, more getting better, more consistent messages on the training pitch. More we work with the players, the more we stick together as a club, then you hope in long term it'll show the fruition of that.
I think of all the players in the squad, the one that fans talk to me most about at the moment is Fally up front, in that he sort of came in, scored a couple of goals early on and hasn't had as much game time recently. What does he need to do better to get himself more minutes in the team?
I keep using it, but it's consistency for everyone really, not just Fally. I think when you look at, we've got some young players in the group, and going back to it, they're not going to be at their maximum every day and every game. It's human nature. It's very hard for a young player to be a 9 out of 10 every day and every week. If they are, they wouldn't be here, in terms of they'll be at the upper echelons of the game, and probably like, obviously you look at the likes of Haaland and Mbappe, these young people who come through and have hit these really high levels straight away, they're quite unique players. So I think for us it's a case of continue to work with Fally, same with Sinclair. We've got really good experience with Naki in that area, where he's been there, done it, and he's a real big help behind the scenes in terms of trying to develop these players as well, so he does a good job on that. But it's about consistently working with them. There will be ups and downs for them, but I think all the strikers really have showed their qualities already at times. It's just trying to get that basis and that consistency of the performances, which one gets them in the team and two keeps them in there.
Seem to have done quite a few miles in recent weeks. A few more to come this weekend with Preston. They obviously made their managerial change earlier in the season. Has that given them a different look to maybe what you'd seen from them last season?
I think traditionally Preston's always been a tough place to go. For any team I've ever been involved in, or any time I've ever been there, it's a tough place to go. But with the managerial change, Paul Eckenbottom, he's done a terrific job wherever he's been. He's a man and he's a manager who I've got the utmost respect for, and knowing what he's like in terms of how he can get a team to play and motivate the team. Again, we expect a difficult challenge, and it goes back to us again around, one, raising our own level to compete with that, but two, then trying to make it our game and bring our strengths in the game again, and try and do what Bristol City we want to try and do, and I think that'll be important for us at the weekend.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Looking again quickly at Preston, obviously they've got a very good manager in now, in Paul Heckingbottom, had one or two spells in the Premier League. How, I guess just expand on that, how much of a challenge do you see that compared to, I don't know, previously?
Yeah, no, it is. I think if you look at them, they're on a good run. I think it's unbeaten in 5 now, so they're on a good run themselves, and I think if you look at how they'll play, they'll be really aggressive. Any Paul Heckingbottom team is, he gets them well motivated, he has them really well organised and structured, and because he's a good coach. So then that'll be the challenge for us, is to go and match up to whatever the physical demands are. But then it's having the bravery and the quality really to go and hurt them and try and put them in positions and situations what is uncomfortable for them. But we have to carry the traits we've had over the last couple of weeks and throughout the season have been hard to beat. I think that should be the cornerstone for us as a football club, and trying to give everybody a performance to want to get behind, but to encourage.
And how good a chance do you see this to continue that run that we've got going at the moment, especially with another promotion challenging team coming up soon after on Tuesday?
To be honest with you, I don't look more than a week, a day ahead. I think it's really important. I hear talk about runs and unbeaten runs. The season's full of runs. You're going to have good runs, you're going to have bad runs, you're going to have mixed runs where you might draw, win, lose. The season's really about us just trying to be really consistent with how we want to play and what we want to do as a football club, and keep churning away at that. And there'll be times where we have difficult results, and we'll have to stick together and try and harness this togetherness and unity that we have. And then there'll be times where we'll have good runs and it'll feel really easy and flow happens and we've got players playing at the highest confidence. And our jobs as staff become really easy in them moments because it's around just keeping people in a good spot. But I think for us, I've said it numerous times now, be consistent with how we do things, and it always gives you a chance. Be hard to beat, you're always in the game, and then it's up to us to add the consistency in the final third and add the quality in terms of our build-up and how we get there to take advantage of them chances.
Yeah, and with those busy few weeks that we've had and that we've got coming up, how much, I appreciate you don't want to give much away, but how much rotation can we expect? Because, as you say, with consistency and a good run in this period of time, is it more you want to keep it that way, or are there moments where you prefer to freshen things up?
I think, again, going to the longevity of the season, I think there'll be definitely points where it'll be around freshness and stuff, but I think sometimes in football, players pick themselves because they train at their utmost and they're at a real high level in training. So I think sometimes it's on the onus is on the players at times to really force themselves into the team, and that will never change in football. I don't think the manager will ever pick a team that won't win in the football game. We always try and pick a team who people are in the best spot emotionally, physically, tactically and technically to help us in the game. So obviously, naturally, with a couple of injuries and stuff, there'll be changes in groups and squads as you go through, but consistency and messaging for the full group will be really important. So if there is changes, then obviously our methods and what we want to do don't change too much. And
with Ross's injury, obviously Cal came on for him on the weekend. We saw a little glimpse of Elijah Morrison as well, who I thought did really well. What are his chances of, I don't know, trying to make a statement during this little injury troubles?
Well, I think what you see, like, he's not done himself any harm in terms of coming on and having a real positive impact. And I was actually chuckling the other day because he comes on, makes a really good tackle and gets a booking for it. And I told him, don't you stop tackling just because you got booked for that one. So we've got to keep that with him in terms of his out possession and him getting better with his out possession. But I thought he did really well against Leeds, and it's quite a big game for him to come on to. So yeah, he's definitely done himself no harm, and again he's training well this morning, so we'll have to see what the weeks bring over the next course of the season.
And lastly from me, can you just check in on Eamon Benarous? How's he getting on?
Yeah, he's obviously still working with the medical staff. He's on a completely different programme to the majority of the lads due to his needs in terms of where he's been at physically over the course of many months now. And fair play when he comes in, he's diligent with what he has to do in terms of his work, and still gets around the group, and the boys get around him as well in terms of trying to help him with his work when needed. But yeah, at the minute he's still with medical staff at really early stages of getting his body and himself back going again.